What's up, YouTube? Welcome to ExceedTheHype.com. It's your boy Lucrecio coming at you with another video. Alright, today's video are the top 5 reasons people hate the Golden State Warriors. So let's think about the Golden State Warriors. They really should be a team that everybody loves, right? Based around Steph Curry, a guy who wasn't recruited that heavily to college, went to the small school in Davidson. Dominated in school. Then people said he wasn't going to be much in the NBA because he was too little and blah, 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 blah. His body wasn't built to withstand the vigors of the NBA is what people were saying. Then he comes out, he plays well, but he gets injured. He hurts his ankles a couple times. And then all his ankles are made of glass. He's not going to be able to be a star. Nobody should pay him money because of injury concerns. So we start with that guy. And Steph Curry really did prove everybody wrong who doubted him. So, check mark. For reasons why we should like him, right? Move to Draymond Green. Draymond Green was a guy at Michigan State, had a big following or whatever. People stated that he wasn't athletic enough to play in the NBA. He wasn't an efficient enough scorer. He couldn't shoot. All this stuff. He goes to the NBA early on. People doubt the abilities or whatever. In my opinion, his first coach didn't even really believe in him as much, especially to the extent that that his talent is proven that he can do now. Another story that checkmark we should like, but we don't. Typically, most NBA fans don't like the Warriors, and these are the 5 reasons why. All right, reason number 5. A lot of people believe the 2015 championship was lucky, quote unquote lucky, that they won it largely due to the opponent's injury. So let's look at the 2015 run. They beat Anthony Davis and the young Pelicans, which, yeah, they were still the Pelicans at the time, which the Pelicans were bad, but that was their first time in the playoffs. We haven't seen them since then, actually, which is disheartening. But they beat the Pelicans. Then they moved on to Memphis. And it just so happened Memphis, who had given them a lot of trouble during the season, and to be honest, still gives them trouble every season they play. Mike Conley goes down. I think he broke his face that year. And I believe either Marc Gasol or Zach Randolph were also injured that series. So they ended up getting past Memphis largely due to injury. They did cream the Rockets real easily. Well, not easily, but I think in 5 or 6 games. But they took care of the Rockets. There's no excuses for the Rockets. Rockets were healthy or whatever. They just weren't good enough to play with Golden State. And then here comes the NBA Finals versus the great LeBron James. And all of a sudden, you know, Kevin Love wasn't there because he had got injured prior, but that's fine. But then all of a sudden in Game 1, Kyrie Irving screws up his knee so badly that he can't continue and can't play anymore and half of the next season. So it's basically the LeBron show. He put on a valiant performance, but they succumb in 6 games. A lot of people attribute that 2015 championship ring largely to opponent injury and resent the Warriors because they won a championship in that fashion. Now, you could only win a championship, you could only beat who was in front of you, so it's not their fault. But a lot of people think that championship was lucky. Reason number 4. Draymond Green's on-court antics, right? So, Draymond Green is obviously a outstanding defender, a game changer on the defensive side of the basketball. Offensively, he's even a skilled playmaker. He even plays point guard and the person who initiates their offense most of the time. But it's very, very easy to get tired of Draymond Green and his on-court antics. After every block, the screaming at people and just the overt displays after every time he makes a play on the defensive end. It just gets tiring to watch. You find yourself getting angry at the TV and, basically just rooting for the Warriors to fail because of Draymond and how he acts on the court. Then you have the situation when last season there was the kicking in the private areas, the nuts or whatever, of Steven Adams. There was the tossing down on the floor of Michael Beasley in that previous round. And then there was the punch in LeBron, or the little, even though I didn't think that one was that bad, but it was still to the nether region. And then even more so than Draymond Green, the dirty plays by some of the other players they bring in. We all saw Kawhi Leonard, one of the brightest stars in the NBA today, probably second or third best player in the NBA as we speak, go down after dominating the Warriors in Game 1 because Zaza Pachulia took that extra step to try to get under that ankle. The dirty plays. That's another reason why people hate the Warriors, all right? Reason number 3. There's the Curry portrayal in the media. The way the media portrays him as like the golden boy, you know, the way they portray his family, like the perfect Christian family and all that stuff, it kind of rubs people the wrong way. Now, I personally don't have an issue with that. I like the fact that he kind of lets people in to see or whatever, how him and his family kind of get along, whatever. I think that's fine. That's perfect. I think what people don't like is the fact that Curry is not the only one living that happily married millionaire life. They only show Curry in that way, but I think there's a lot of players who are Christians who are married with kids who are, you know, doing great things or whatever, and the NBA kind of ignores it. Nobody really cares. You look at LeBron. LeBron looks like his life is pretty similar. He has 3 kids, married, whatever. His kids are all look like they're great at basketball as well. You know, Chris Paul's is similar. Russell Westbrook is one. But, you know, nobody else is pushed in that way. You know, nobody else is portrayed in the media in that way, like the perfect guy. And then with Curry, it's a little bit weirder, too, because on one hand, you have that the media portrayal of him. And then on the other hand, he's a little cocky person on the court with all his in-game antics or whatever. I'll never forget in this finals, even though they won the finals pretty easily, but in this finals, when he scored the little layup over LeBron, it wasn't even over LeBron, after he double dribbled, and he was like all yelling and you know, getting hype. I was like, what are you getting hype for? You just double dribbled. This is Cavs ball. What are you doing? That kind of stuff rubs me the wrong way, or rubs people the wrong way, and it's just another reason why people hate the Warriors. All right. Reason number 2. The style of basketball that the Warriors play can be irritating for older fans and older basketball heads and people with an old school understanding of the game. So, in the previous generation, a big man was everything. If you have a dominant big man, you basically were unstoppable unless the other team also had a dominant big man or whatever. But in the days of Hakeem Olajuwon and Shaq, and then going back Kareem and Wilt Chamberlain, however far you want to go back, the game has typically, with the exception of the Bulls, because the Bulls didn't have a dominant big man, but it was in the era of dominant big man. Basketball has always been about the big guy, the easy points close to the basket and the post or whatever. Now all the big men, out of necessity, because the game is changing, are out on the perimeter shooting threes. Nobody's really in the paint banging to get easy buckets or whatever. I think a lot of people, like if you listen to Oscar Robertson talk, if you listen to a lot of these older guys talk, these guys don't really respect the Warriors because they just don't understand that their way of thinking is almost obsolete, basically, because ultimately you can't play, the Warriors make it so that you cannot play a big man, no matter how good he is, against them. Because Draymond Green is strong enough to guard. You can't score on Draymond Green very easily in the post, in the paint. And that's the advantage you expect to have versus this Warriors team. And since you can't do that, it turns into, okay, your team will have trouble scoring post points against Draymond Green and our defenders. And then on the flip side, when you try to guard us, we're going to move the ball and we're going to score easily on you, and you're going to be made to look foolish on SportsCenter every night because you're going to be isolated on Curry when they get that switch that they want, which they're going to keep getting that same switch. When you're isolated on Curry like Rudy Gobert was, 30 feet away from the basket, you don't know what to do. You can try to move your feet, and even if you play decent defense, it looks stupid and it's going to be on TV and it's embarrassing. So Golden State will play their style of basketball no matter what, no matter who you have on the court. And it defies the understanding of how basketball is supposed to go, especially if you're an old head person. So most older people watch the Warriors and be like, oh, well, they need to do this. They need to pound these guys down low. I can't imagine how many times I keep hearing they need to pound them down low. They need to pound the Warriors down low. They need to pound. You can't. You can try. You get a couple possessions, but ultimately, you trying to play that way is going to cost you. They're going to blow you out. And that's just what it is. But that's another reason people hate the Warriors. They find that style of basketball to be very irritating. And it defies conventional understanding of basketball, all right? And the number one reason why people hate the Golden State Warriors is Kevin Durant is there. He chose to go there. He went to the Warriors, and he keeps doing stuff to tweak you, basically. So we found out yesterday, Kevin Durant will sign for $53 million for 2 seasons. So after hearing that Curry is signing a $200 million contract, which will will average out for him to be like $40 million a year. Yeah. So basically Kevin Durant took almost half of Curry's salary, even though Kevin Durant is the best player on that team. That's irritating to people. It makes that team even more unfair. And if the rest of the guys follow suit, if everybody just lets Curry have his big contract and everybody else takes a pay cut, which sounds ridiculous, but we'll see. If Kevin Durant did it, maybe everybody else might. They're going to keep that core together, and that core with Steve Kerr coaching it is going to be very difficult. Not impossible, but very difficult to beat. Very, very difficult. All right? And also, it's just the competitive nature of Kevin Durant isn't where most people want to see it. The fact that people were elevating Curry above Durant that season, the season before he went, people were talking about Curry. People were trying to say Curry was the best. But then, obviously he wasn't better than LeBron. Then they were like, okay, well, he's not better than LeBron, but he's the second best player. That should have been directly offensive to Kevin Durant, but it wasn't. It doesn't seem like he didn't take it personally. Also, that Warriors team creamed the Warriors, the Thunder, 3 times. The 3 times they played, the Warriors beat them. So it should have been, you would have think it was going to be a lot of tension building up and it was going to come to explosion in that series. And if Kevin Durant lost, then he was going to come back that next year and make sure they knock out the Warriors. Well, no, it didn't work out that way. He just decided that, hey, I'm working too hard over here with the Thunder trying to get every shot when I could just be plugged into the system and score so easily. And we saw it play out in the finals because we saw LeBron working so hard just to keep the Cavs competitive in that final series, especially in that Game 5. We saw LeBron working to close the gap. We saw Iguodala hit some big shots. We saw Patrick McCaw hit some big shots. We saw the reason why those shots were so big is because Cleveland was powering back in the game, and every time Iguodala or McCaw could hit like a bucket, it makes that much more, it makes it that much longer of a climb. The longer the climb, the more energy exerted to get there. And all this time, Durant and Curry sat on the bench watching that lead become smaller and smaller. And then when they finally got too close, Kerr put them in and they just cleaned the show up. Basically, Durant came in fresh, nailing jumpers while LeBron is like dead tired, trying to catch a second win. So it played out. He went there and they won what some people can consider an easy championship or whatever the case may be. Whatever. But that's ultimately the number one reason that people don't like the Warriors these days. All right, leave your comments. Let me know what you think. If you disagree, if you agree, subscribe, like, whatever. All right, see you next time.